There is a point in almost every independent woman's life when she realizes she is no longer the person she used to be. She stops chasing approval, stops explaining every decision, stops forcing friendships that no longer feel genuine. And eventually, she discovers something that changes the way she sees relationships, people, and even herself. But this transformation rarely happens overnight. It happens in stages, 7 stages. Each one strips away something she once believed she needed and replaces it with something stronger. The first stage often looks like loneliness. The second looks like rejection. The third looks like independence. Then comes the stage where she starts questioning everyone around her. After that, she becomes extremely selective. Eventually, she learns to protect her peace without completely closing her heart. And finally, she reaches a stage where she no longer needs to prove who she is. Now, the Sigma female is an internet archetype, not a scientifically established personality type. But the journey we're describing reflects a set of traits commonly associated with this archetype: independence, self-awareness, privacy, strong boundaries, introspection, and the ability to walk away from environments that no longer fit. So let's explore the 7 stages every Sigma female eventually goes through, and why the final stage isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming completely comfortable with who she is. It often begins early. She notices that she doesn't react to things the way everyone else does. While everyone else wants to fit in, she sometimes wants to understand why fitting in matters. While other girls may enjoy constant social interaction, she may need time alone. While everyone is talking, she's observing, watching, listening, remembering. She may not even understand herself yet. She simply knows something feels different, and because she doesn't have the language to explain it, she may assume something is wrong with her. Maybe she's too quiet, too serious, too independent, too sensitive, too analytical, too selective. So she tries to adapt. She laughs when everyone laughs, agrees when everyone agrees, changes herself to fit the environment, and for a while, it may work, but something inside her keeps resisting, because pretending to be someone else requires constant effort. And eventually, she starts asking the first important question: why am I trying so hard to become someone I'm not? That question begins the transformation. Eventually, she discovers something powerful. She actually enjoys her own company. At first, solitude may feel like rejection. Then, it becomes freedom. She discovers that she can go somewhere alone, eat alone, work alone, travel alone, spend an entire evening without needing someone to entertain her. And something changes. She stops interpreting solitude as proof that nobody wants her. She begins seeing it as proof that she can rely on herself. This is where independence starts becoming part of her identity. She begins making decisions without asking everyone for permission. She develops her own taste, her own opinions, her own goals, her own routines. And slowly, external approval loses some of its power. She no longer asks, "Will they like this?" She starts asking, "Do I like this?" That sounds simple, but psychologically, it's a major shift. Because for the first time, her decisions begin coming from the inside rather than the outside. This stage can hurt, because independence often changes the way she sees people. She starts noticing patterns she previously ignored. The friend who only calls when she needs something. The person who constantly crosses boundaries. The relationship where she gives far more than she receives. The people who say they support her, but become uncomfortable when she grows. She begins comparing words with behavior. And sometimes, the two don't match. This is where she learns one of the most painful lessons. Not everyone who smiles at you is genuinely on your side. She may become more cautious, more observant, less trusting. She watches how people behave when they are angry, when they are jealous, when they don't get what they want, when she says no. Because anyone can be kind when everything goes their way. Character becomes visible when it doesn't, and this stage can make her seem colder. But underneath, she's learning discernment, She's discovering that trust shouldn't be based only on what someone promises. It should be based on what they consistently demonstrate. After enough disappointment, she pulls back. Not necessarily from everyone, from unnecessary noise. She stops participating in every argument, stops responding to every opinion, stops explaining herself to people who have already decided what they want to believe. She spends more time alone. She reads, thinks, works, creates, builds, and from the outside, people may think she's becoming antisocial, but something different is happening. She's reorganizing her life. She's asking, who actually deserves access to me? This is where her circle may become smaller, but deeper. She doesn't need 20 people constantly around her. She may prefer 2 or 3 people she can trust completely, and for the first time, she realizes something important. Being surrounded by people isn't the same as being connected to people. She would rather have genuine connection than constant company. This is where the transformation becomes visible. She becomes extremely selective with friends, with relationships, with opportunities, with information, with her time. She stops giving everyone the same version of herself. A stranger gets politeness. An acquaintance gets conversation. A friend gets trust. Someone deeply important gets vulnerability. Access becomes earned, and this changes her romantic relationships too. She stops asking, "Does he want me?" and starts asking, "Do I actually want him?" That's a completely different mindset. She evaluates character, consistency, emotional maturity, ambition, respect, compatibility. She doesn't necessarily become impossible to impress. She simply becomes harder to impress with superficial things. A charming personality isn't enough. Attention isn't enough. Money isn't enough. Status isn't enough. She wants substance. And once she understands her own standards, she becomes much harder to manipulate through temporary attention. Eventually, something unexpected happens. She stops fighting so much. Not because she's weaker, because she no longer needs to prove herself. Someone misunderstands her? She doesn't always correct them. Someone doesn't like her? She doesn't panic. Someone leaves? She allows them to leave. Someone crosses a boundary? She doesn't always argue, she simply changes their access. This is a different kind of strength. Earlier in her life, she may have believed strength meant defending herself loudly. Now she understands. Sometimes strength means knowing when not to engage. She doesn't need revenge. She doesn't need the last word. She doesn't need everyone to understand why she walked away. She simply protects her peace. And this is where her independence becomes healthier. She isn't saying, "I don't need anyone." She's saying, "I can love people without losing myself." That's a much stronger position. And eventually, she reaches the stage most people never notice. She stops trying to be a Sigma female. She stops trying to look mysterious, stops trying to appear independent, stops trying to prove she doesn't need anyone. Because she finally understands. Real confidence doesn't require an image. She can be social. She can be quiet. She can fall in love. She can spend time alone. She can ask for help. She can say no. She can change her mind. She can admit she was wrong. She can be vulnerable. She can be powerful. And none of these things contradict each other. She no longer needs a label to explain herself. She knows who she is. And because she knows who she is, she doesn't need everyone else to know. That's the final stage. Not becoming colder. Not becoming unreachable. Not becoming impossible to understand. Becoming so secure in herself that she no longer needs to perform independence. She simply lives it. Looking at all 7 stages, there's a pattern. She begins by feeling different. Then she learns independence. Then she becomes disillusioned. She withdraws. She becomes selective. She discovers peaceful power. And finally, she stops trying to prove anything at all. But the most important part is this. These stages aren't a scientific progression that every woman must experience. Real people develop differently. Some may move through several of these stages. Some may never identify with them, and some may move backward before moving forward. The point isn't the label. The point is the psychological journey. The journey from "do they accept me?" to "do I accept this?" From "why don't they understand me?" to "I understand myself," and from "I don't need anyone," to "I choose who I allow into my life." That's where the real transformation begins.